All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to October 18th Global Labs Patch Notes Review. So, yeah, this releases basically every Friday, and I'm always excited to look at what's changing and what's happening in the upcoming week or two. And so, yeah, this is from the official Global Lab page, and if you want to read it yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. But this dropped today, and I haven't looked at it yet, so we're going to be taking a quick look at it all together. And this is Google translated from the Korean to English, so I'll try to make it make sense. But anyway, with that said, let's see what they're adding this week coming forward. Improved conditions for changing technology presets. The condition for changing preset skills have been changed from 10 minutes to 1 minute. So, like, you know, the thing that when you hit your skill button, there's a little, like, bar that gives, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you can set, like, awakening succession, I believe. It's now 10 minutes to 1 minute, and improved the ability to change even when not in a safe area. That's actually so huge, because there have been so many times where, like, when I've been in a grind spot, it's so far away from any safe zone or town, I'm just like, well, I guess I'm playing this spec today instead of the other one, even though, one is better at the time. But anyway, that's a huge change, more than this whole 10 to 1 minute. I think this is amazing. But I think the highlight would be to just be at a grind spot and be able to swap it through whatever you want, which is huge. All right, so skill presets cannot be changed if there's a skill with a cooldown applied. So basically, stop spamming your ability, just stand still for a little bit, and then you'll be fine. All right, so usually, I don't know why in the global labs they have the same thing twice. Like, basically, this paragraph right here and this one are basically the same thing. It's not even just this, it's previous weeks. It's like, read the first paragraph, and it's essentially the same thing. All right, so class changes. Admittedly, I don't really know all of them, but the Zerker one has always been a hot topic, and people are just wondering what's going to happen with them. So, Zerker, the issue where the giant leap would continue to activate after landing from a certain height would continue when continuously activating has been fixed. That seems like a problem. Admittedly, I don't I don't really know too much about it. But I think the ones that most people want to hear about are the latest class, the Dosa Awakening. So let's see what's changed. The Black Spirit Rage expansion has been added to the Dosa 10, 25, and 50. Rising Flow Bending. That is probably something different in the NA and EU patch, but let's see what's happening. This is the fire one by Red. 11,000 damage times 2. That's a big number. The water. To be honest, I wish I knew what those mean. I can only speculate from my knowledge in the game of reading in English. These are probably the blue and gold text right here is probably some sort of CC, like down, and some other ability, down, knockback, or floating, or whatever. But interesting. PvP damage is reduced by 50%. And, the extra other attribute stats. Interesting. We'll see it when it hits live servers. Admittedly, people either like Dosa or they don't. There's no real in-between at the moment. So, from what I've read, yeah, there's just, you either like it or you don't. That's about it. All right, so what did they have to say about it? We sincerely thank all the adventurers who've been playing and sending us feedback since the release of Awakening Dosa. With this update, the method of activating the synergy effect of the 5 elements will be changed slightly. Previously was activated based on the location of enemies, with the 5 elements making it difficult to buff allies. In order to improve this, we changed to activate based on the 5 elements area. That is one thing I actually noticed was a little bit of a problem because I was just pushing it and then nothing went off. Like I was pushing the combos and it's like, wait, where's the buff or whatever? So yeah, that's a huge change actually. From this perspective, the beneficial buffs that were activated in the 5 elemental areas have been expanded to last longer. Okay, so basically, you could use them more conditionally or less conditionally as well, and then the AoE is bigger, so you don't have to be in a more specific location to use it. You just do it. Okay, so let's see, what are the important things? The range has been increased by 40%. The time has been increased from 5 to 10 seconds, so literally double duration, and the AoE radius is bigger. That's good. When you use the next 5 elements that matches, like, you know, the combo of doing like 2 or 3 of the elements and they give you a certain stat buff, that's what it means. However, it'll only trigger or activate if the enemy is around the area of the 5 elements, but they increase the radius, so that should be overall okay. And interesting. A lot of these skills, I'm pretty sure, are not the English terms. Not sure exactly what they are, but let's just look at them anyway. The skill combo that could only be activated by left-clicking the downward thrust has been changed to be pressed by pressing the E button. Okay, very cool. Easier. Feels more, probably more like Striker in a way. Let's see. So all of these are mostly, they look like the quality of life. Harvest, when each hit with a successful hit successfully with the harvest skill, plus 100 health per recovery. That's good. Earth, added health recovery when using the planting skill. Cool. Okay, so a lot of these are just recovery and HP stuff. I think that's fine. Content: War of the Roses. The size of some Sanctum Guardians has been increased, making them easier to spot and attack during combat. Additionally, musical spirits, which help resurrect fallen horses in each sanctum, now show their location effect closer, making them easier to find. Okay, so quality of life, those are good. During the War of the Roses. Okay, so they just said that in the previous thing. Shaman, 25%. Okay, so they just increased the vision, I believe. Yeah, so I've done War of the Roses twice, and usually, like, the enemies, like the Guardians or in the Sanctums, they're like large. Think of the bear in Odalita, and like, you know how big it is, they just made that bigger. This is one thing, like the Dark Knight, and you know how at the base of each side there's like the final boss, right? That looks literally the same as your normal character model. So like, I'm glad they're making it bigger to obviously show it's a boss type enemy. So that's good. Improved the Stable Keeper's visibility during the War of the Roses. Stable Keeper has been improved to be more visible. Dude, what is this? Like, one of these looks like it's playing in remastered, and one of these is like the lowest setting or lowest quality. They should have used, you know, the same image. I never really had that problem. I'm like, it's obviously a good change, but like, you see this blue thing above it? Make that bigger. That's all. You don't even have to make anything else. Just make that bigger, and then people will know. Season Pass. Complete items upon achieving enhancement. While upgrading your season character's Naru gear and converting to Pride Tuvala, many adventurers found it cumbersome. They had to chat with the Black Spirit to fulfill the season pass requirement after equipping the thing. Yeah, it's more of an annoyance than difficulty. It's just like you're spamming the button. Like, you know how there's a lot of things I would like to say about the whole seasonal quality of life change. One being obviously there's a lot of button clicking more than really necessary. Two, there's just the quests that give you like one Blackstone or one inventory. I know they're like 6 different quests, but I wish they would condense it into one. So it's like, here, you get a plus 10 inventory slot for doing this instead of having to go through like 15 different quests to get the same reward. That's just everyone literally spamming the same button just to collect them all at the same time. And you can watch it in some of my older seasonal playlist videos where I'm literally just spamming, but I wish they would just condense it down and then maybe a few less quests. They don't even count really towards your 30,000 or whatever you're going for, which is, a big thing for a lot of people. So I think they could just, put the same rewards in one quest, and then that would be a lot easier. So this was a little bit different from what I was talking about, but basically, how like right now for the season pass, if you just decide you want to go from Naru plus 0 all the way to Tuvala Pen in one go, it doesn't count towards your season pass credit. What you have to do is unequip it and then show it to the Black Spirit, which is like another quest dialogue itself. So yeah, they're trying to simplify that, but I mean, there's a lot more problems than what they discussed, but I think this is a step in the right direction, obviously. So I've given my feedback. You could watch my other older videos from seasonals and see what I've talked about and how they can, quality of life overall change, not even just a specific one. So that's good. Okay, so yeah. Cool. I think this is crate delivery or packing crates in towns for trading. Interesting. Monsters, Dehkia, Cadry runes. We actually did a video of that before, and then I did an hour off stream like the other day, and I did so much better after understanding the mechanics. But let's see what they changed. In order to make the hunting the Cadry runes, Dehkia, hunting the grounds more enjoyable, improvements have been made in the terrain. What? What am I looking at? They made it brighter. Okay. The terrain near the Cadry can activate has been expanded and flattened. Work has been done. Oh, okay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know where 2 of the spots are, and one of them is the auto path default location, and I know where this one is. I have no idea where the spot is. No, I'm gonna be honest. So, if they made the terrain more flat, that's always a good thing. However, I don't know if that was really a problem. Like, obviously it was, but in the spot I went to, it was fine. And it's like, how there's a red and white circle that looks like a Pokeball, right? That's literally the radius I'm in. Like, I generally don't go further out from that one. One thing I have noticed, and you could watch it in my older video, is the enemy radius for them chasing your horse is pretty far. And usually, I think that's spot specific. Like, I even parked my horse pretty far out, so like I didn't even think it would be in radius for aggro. But apparently it was, and you could watch it in my video recently, and you'll see it in the near beginning. But I think their aggro radius needs to be reduced a little bit, and that's about it. Otherwise, the spot is fine. I think if you haven't tried the spot, just my thoughts and opinions on it is the spot is okay-ish money. You do use Agris there, and it's about like 12 to 15,000 Agris an hour, whereas Dehkia Crescents is about 20,000. So if you are a person that grinds longer hours, then Cadry's is better just in terms of Agris point value, but if you don't grind as much, you make a few 100 mil more at Crescents. But in the long term, I think Cadry's is overall better. Assuming you're going from like 100,000 to 0 Agris, you'll make more money at Cadry. But if you only do like an hour a day, then it's probably more value to go to Crescents. That's my experience, actually. Temple of Crescent Moon. Improved to give priority to pursuing enemies after appearing. Isn't that what they always do? But it's like aggro is on nearby enemies. What? If that means aggro radius on the person who spawned the lantern, that's good. Request and knowledge. Guild for a strong adventure where you can receive guidance on how to join or create a guild from Lara and Heidel. You will receive 20 million silver. I think that's good. I think more competition and more guilds overall is a better thing. We all know in the PvP scene, like at the high end, there's really only a few of them that take up a majority of the hardcore players. So I think that in the long term, more competition is always a good thing. When completing the guaranteed pen boss gear quest, we often received requests on account of defense gear and weapon quests mixed up. Therefore, we made it so that both quests can't be accepted at the same time. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Making anything clearer in Black Desert is always a good thing because there's a lot of stuff that I think are just like overwhelming knowledge is in a way. The dialogue that takes you to Okilua Crescent Moon Fragment has been improved. I'm going to be honest. I started doing world bosses, you know, like Zarka, Karanda, and all those things the other day. I started collecting these things, and I had no idea what they did. I had to Google it, and I was like, oh, it's for old moon weapons. Yeah, that's what it's for. And just in case you were wondering, like, what they were. Otherwise, I think it's just vendor trash for 5 mil, which, whatever. So yeah. If you do world bosses, you get these thingies, and they turn into weapons. Now you know. 4 to 5 mil if you are way past that point. The knowledge conditions for the Abyssal Well in the Eye of Aquila region has been changed. You know, I actually haven't used the well to the Aquila's Eye since they added that later on, which I think was like within a year ago at this point. So yeah, I should probably go check that out. And there was really like no reason for me to even be there, but apparently there was. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Like, I never had to go there, but apparently there was something that was an issue, and now it's fixed. Background, NPC effects, and cutscenes. Okay. Node War and Sieges. This and this is the exact same thing. For the current Node War, the upside of the format is supposed to be easier participation. Yeah, so they're talking about the Node War change that happened like probably 6 months ago. Due to the format's rule, the guild occupying the fort when the timer ends claims victory. Yep. However, this also presents a downside. Some guilds only occupy the fort before the timer ends to secure a win. Yeah, so it's wild how they're addressing this 6 months or more down the line when this was literally an issue on week 1. And I've heard a lot of people talking about it. So there's guilds who want to actually PvP, right? And then there's guilds who just drop and like trade it off like scripted wars just so everyone can earn bonuses. This is what they're talking about in here. And like there's like coordinated scripted fights where this guild will own X region for this time, and then they trade it off. There's no PvP involved, and then I think that's what they want to, get rid of. They want actual competition, which I think is a good thing. To address this, we're adjusting the rules to allow guilds actively occupying a fort to win. Node wars with more than 3 guilds are participating. If a single guild successfully holds a fort for 15 minutes, they can achieve final occupation, even if there's time left on the clock. What do I think of this? So they want more active participation, is what I'm understanding, and I think that's good because, people should actually play the game to get rewarded. So if they hold a fort for more than 15 minutes, they can achieve final occupation. Let's see. So there's a lot of factors that I think go into this. Like, one, PvP gets mentally exhausting after a while. However, at the same time, holding a fort for 15 minutes is actually tough with 2 equal, guilds. If it's just one guild that's clearly stronger than the other, I think, yeah, sure. But if it's 2 equal guilds, then 15 minutes is actually tough. So I'm not sure. I think we're just going to have to see how this plays out. But right now, I'm not sure. Do I think 15 minutes is a good number? It could be. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it goes out. Additionally, at the start of the node war, it might be challenging to reclaim a fort immediately for tasks like receiving the nominal flag or building a base. Therefore, the flag factory is completed and you can receive one instantly. I have definitely, in some of my older wars, I have been the builder for our fort back when, it was, you actually picked a spot instead of it having more or less set locations. So yeah, I actually thought that was a fun thing, being a builder for a node war. That way you can come up with unique strategies and everything. But now that some of these are instant build, or more specifically the flag factory, that might change up strategy, which I think is what they want. But overall, we'll see. When there are 3 or more... Okay, we just read this. For example, if guilds A, B, and C participate in the stronghold battle, if guild A occupies for more than 15 minutes, they just win. However, if guild A occupies it and B or C occupies it again, this time will not be accumulated and the 15 minutes will be measured again. So basically, if guild A, B or C occupies it again, so basically if they capture it and then it resets, I think it's very standard. The immortal flag mound, when the flag of the unquenchable column has been installed, you can now immediately receive the flag. Okay. The time it takes has been increased by approximately 67%. Okay. The waiting time from the completed flag of the endless buildable has been activated. The flag of the endless buildable is approximately 3 minutes, same as before. Cool. Adjusting the number of participants in the base battle by the day of the week. Oh dear, that's not good. Let's read it. That does not sound good. Some people can only play this game certain days of the week, and if it's like 10-person war on a Tuesday, then it could be weird. All right, let's see what they have. With this update, the maximum number of participants for each territory group in Node Wars will be adjusted based on the day of the week. Who came up with this? We've reviewed the participation data across all regions since the Node War revamp, and it turns out that most lack around 5 to 10 participants, and even other guilds that gather the maximum number of participants tend to miss the limit around 3 times per week. Sounds about right. Based on this, we've adjusted the system to allow most of the number of adventurers to participate in Node Wars by the day of the week. I get what they're saying. This sounds like a good thing, but obviously it will never, no system will ever, cater towards every single player. So this might sound like it's going to be a restructure for a lot of guilds. I think overall it's a good thing, but it just doesn't seem like it's a good thing. But I think long term it is. So, with that said, I think it's also weird because you know how in some other games you can have or be in multiple guilds, but in BDO you can only be in one. So let's say you can only Node War on Wednesday, but your guild, obviously has questionable participation on a Wednesday. That might mean someone has to join a new guild, or I guess merking would be fine, but it's not the same if you merc. It just feels different. I don't know how to explain it. So, yeah, I don't know. But there's also a thing where most people are invested into their guild. Like, you've met your friends. There's a lot of people in your guild, and you don't really want to leave it. But if PvP is a big thing, then that might be questionable. But either way, it's whatever. I think overall it's a good thing, even though this might be a little bit weird. 30, 50, 70. Okay. So from my experience when I Node Ward, highest participation days are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Weekends, well, there's only Siege on Saturdays, but that's different. Mondays were usually pretty questionable. I think Fridays should be at the higher participation because, Friday people, you don't work the next day. Most people don't. And then, yeah, I think that's weird. Fridays should have been in the higher participation, whereas, Sundays should be at the lower one because, literally American work schedule. And then you go into work the next day, you can't be up for 2 hours on a Node War. It is what it is. Okay, well, apparently they have the data better, but I think just, from literally playing the game, I think Fridays and Sundays should be swapped. But that's just me. The issue with the Holy War machines and flame towers installed in Balanos and Serendia have been expanded and fixed. Interesting. During the Node and Siege, safe zones have been removed so that all areas except for the major cities are considered combat zones. Safe zones have been removed. So this is a good thing. However, on the servers, you know how over the past 8 years, lag and everything has never really been fixed. It's kind of like, oh, we've done some stuff, make it less laggy. Remember a few years ago when they tried to do the region-based siege war, where it's like Korea versus the other servers? Like, I don't think NA or EU actually got to participate in it, but it was like the Japan server versus Korean, and that was a disaster. And they had to apologize for that. They made a public statement for that. I remember region sieges was not great. So anyway, making all safe zones except for towns into a combat zone, I think that's fine. It's just like whatever, I guess. Buildings take damage every 3 seconds for 45 with flame damage. Cool. And the bugs and fixes. Let's see. Are there anything notable that we have to talk about today? Black Temple. Fix an issue where the battle the party battle, the size of the iron ore would intermittently decrease by several levels. There's a few other issues I've seen from doing the party bosses, and yeah, I just literally go watch any of the streamers that do it on the hard difficulty, and you'll find out what those are real fast. Shining Golden Seal fixed an issue where some fighting spirit gear could be exchanged for work supervisor items. Did not know that was an issue. Fixed an issue where the price graph was displayed unnaturally for items that have not been traded for a day on the central market has been fixed. This is a pretty big thing that we do look at every month in our video. The description for Dolmen's transformation items have been natural. Okay. All of these seem like story and, questing bug fixes, which I think are good, but at the same time, not a majority of the players have this issue. Whereas I think this one has more people doing this on the regular. That is an issue. But overall, that was today's patch notes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We had a few class changes, which I think are fine. War of the Roses, small quality of life, seasonal quality of life, new grinds, or not new, but like grind spot changes have been quality of life. I'm not even sure if this is like really worth it these days compared to just buying what you want off the central market. But I mean, if you're gonna do it for completion, well, that's good now. And a lot of story and PvP changes. So overall, I think this is more of a quality of life patch than anything. I think it was fine. It affects more PvPers than PvEers, but I think overall it's a good thing. So anyway, with that said, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And with that said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.